Greetings, welcome back. Now, when it was too late, Rimi's words sank into my heart. She was truly a meddler. What enabled her to fight so hard? What enabled her to act so much on behalf of others?
私はタクの味方だから。
My memories of Rimi revived within me. The brief amount of time we spent together up till the present. The emotions hidden behind each word she'd uttered.
私が一緒にいてあげる。
The past year and a half, if I were to say what I'd done, it'd be Ensu and RMT and Eroge and little else. I'd immersed myself in them and remained shut up in my base, rarely going to school, not attempting to speak with anyone. Born into this world, I had been throwing my time away, as if I were dead. But this last month or so had been different. One of the results had been her lying to me.
朝一緒に学校行って。
But she'd stay together with the likes of me.
学校では休み時間にどうでもいいこと話して。
She'd pacified me as I quivered in fear.
お昼休みは一緒にご飯食べて。
She'd supported my no-good self. She'd encouraged me.
夕方一緒に帰って。
She'd embraced me.
帰るついでにたまにどこかのお店に寄ったりして。
She'd shown me the meaning of human warmth to a delusionary existence like me. She'd shown the meaning of human warmth to a delusionary existence like me.
タクの部屋でちょっとだけおしゃべりして。
She could have erased me, but instead she tried to protect me.
それでまた明日ねって手を振って別れて。
She'd made memories for me.
そんなのでいいなら私いくらでもしてあげるよ。
Even now, I could think vividly back on my time together with Rimi, out of a mere year and a half long life.
そういうの結構憧れなんだ。
Rimi's little gestures. The scent of Rimi's hair. The sound of Rimi's breath. The light in Rimi's eyes. Rimi's cheerful voice. Rimi's tender warmth. Ah, I see. I'm in love with Rimi. How indescribably creepy. I smiled bitterly at my own creepiness. A delusionary existence, falling in love? Could even a delusionary existence harbor the emotion of loving someone? Or was it a hallucination? I didn't know. But I wanted to stay true to this feeling. Rimi regarded me as a friend. She definitely didn't have any awareness of me as the opposite sex. An otaku freak like me wouldn't suit Rimi well to begin with. But even if it were unrecruited love, even if it were mere self-satisfaction, even though I was a delusionary existence, I wanted to at least do something for somebody, do something for Rimi, and then disappear. It was creepy for a creepy otaku to be in love. It was creepy for a delusionary existence to be in love. So what? Even if it were disgusting. Even if it would never be returned. I didn't want to dispose of this feeling as a hallucination or a delusion. Our memories of this past month were a form of local shared recognition between the two of us, me and Rimi. Even if everything was make-believe, these memories and the emotions born from their accumulation. It's nothing else but fantasy, it's make-believe. Alright, there's the same reference I made like a year ago from Blind Guardian. Whatever, let's go. We're the real thing.
世界を救ってほしい。
Said Shogun. I shook my head.
僕は勇者じゃない。人間でもない。そんな僕に 世界を救えとか。何を考えてるの？
君には本当に悪いと思ってるけど、君にやってもらうしかないんだ。
自分に謝るなんてバカみたいだ。
I glared at the real me. The real me accepted my imposter's gaze.
僕は君が嫌いだ。
僕は君が羨ましいよ。
僕は世界のためになんか頑張らない。世界を救うとか、そんなことどうでもいい。
I'd be the one to decide the meaning behind my birth.
ただ、僕はリミを
ありがとう。
Oh shit. Hello?
ただ、僕はリミを助ける。
ありがとう。
Yeah, boy. The sounds from the area around me returned. The disorder there was increasingly accelerating. At this point, it had become a riot. Is that guy filled with blood? What the fuck is that? The guy in the middle of the street. God damn. In my surroundings were the smell of blood, roars, screams, moans, and a howling mechanical sound. These things overflowed everywhere.
理想度を手に入れる方法を教えて。
君はすでにそれを知っているはずだよ。
I raised my line of sight. I searched for the shape of a sword blending into the scenery. Rocks flew through the air. Smoke from tear gas bombs climbed higher, and nearby people crashed into me over and over. Under those conditions, I made my consciousness focus and sought the sword I had glimpsed for only a second before from the roof of the O-front. I should be able to see it. Without a doubt, it was somewhere out there. Part of the scenery, mixed in with the rest. Catch sight of it. Your D-sword is always by your side.
見つけた。
The building to the right of the 107. A colorful billboard arranged vertically along it. It appeared as a sword to me. Tension, my breath caught. I'd been able to perceive it in the form of a sword before as well, when I saw it from the roof of the O-front. But at that time, I'd ultimately failed to grasp onto it.
自分の意志を強く持つんだ。迷っちゃダメだからね。君にはもう剣を手に入れる資格は十分にある。
Standing in place, I extended my hand. In order to rescue someone precious to me, I needed that sword no matter what. No matter what. I clenched my teeth back together. It was different from before. My heart was so serene, even I found myself startled by it. I wasn't afraid. I couldn't afford to be afraid. But I wasn't cool-headed. There was an emotion simmering, boiling hard inside me. There was something I had to do, no matter what.
掴むんだ。
There were roughly 100 meters between me and the 107. I held my palm out so it appeared to be overlapping with the sword. I closed my hand. Though I should have closed my hand around the empty space, I felt something. It was neither cold nor hot, neither hard nor soft. Seizing it, I slowly pulled it toward me. Ripples rose in the air. It came sipping out from within them. All too long to be called a sword. So slender, it seemed about to break at any moment. Brimming with phantasmal dignity, revealing absolutely no surface resplendence, possessing both a pure malice as though the soul had been sucked out of it, and awe-inspiring, fluent elegance. It linked within my exulting heart, and the foreboding pattern of flames in its hilt quivered. That music, though. I felt not a trace of its weight. In fact, it was as though it had become one with my hand, as though it had been there from the start, as though it were a part of my body. I had no real sense that I was holding a sword. This is a D-sword. I clenched it tight with both hands, Now I should be able to real boot it as well. If I attained the shared recognition of those in the area, this sword would bring its shape forth into reality. I didn't know how to do it. I simply prayed. Become real, I shouted at it internally. I would no longer waver. As though answering my cry, the D-sword began glowing faintly. The pattern of flames on its hilt transformed to real flames, enveloping the sword. I felt no heat. At last, those flames were sucked away into the sword's entirety. And with a violent impact, the D-sword became clothed in scarlet light. A portion of the people nearby spotted my sword and went dumb with shock. But it was only a portion of the whole. The others were fixated on hitting and slandering each other. The riot didn't seem likely to calm down.
この暴動を引き起こしているポーターたちを探すんだ。彼らの持つ機械を破壊すればバイオリズムの高騰も収まる。
ポーター。
ノア2の端末としての存在。君はすでにそのヒントを見てきたはずだ。君の頭の中にそれは記憶として刻まれている。
I aroused it. All at which I had seen.
食い終わって食い終わって
ようやく尻尾を出したんだ。そいつを掴んで離さねえようにして。
辛いんですね。
有限の挨拶聞いたことある。
返して7のバングル返して
地点 L2 の8 0.62 メガ GE ハイスコアです。
ゲージなのこれ。我が社ではポーターと呼んでいます。言い換えればマインドコントロールのための部隊といったところでしょう。
Things I had unconsciously been Things I had unconsciously been watching the whole time. Things I had unconsciously spied on. Via taught the whole time.
僕は盗撮野郎ってことか。お似合いだね。
As I laughed self-mockingly, Shogun calmly gave me directions.
チャネルを解放してポーターたちの心を読むんだ。コズピーのようにね。彼らはこのスクランブル交差点のどこかに居場所を探り当てて。
I opened my channel. I didn't think about how to do it. Without taking conscious heed of it, I enacted it through my senses alone. Immediately afterward, the hearts of the vast number of people in this place, their negative emotions, became visible and poured into me all at once. Hostility, hatred, jealousy, carnal desire, obsequiousness, cowardice, frivolity, contamination, cunning, obscenity, disgrace, crudity, lust, insanity, the will to kill. A manifestation of the ugly emotions people hid from others, far more direct and atrocious and revolting than anything communicated in words. Every manner of negative emotion people embraced within them became a torrent of images, swallowing up my heart, breaking me, violating me. They bathed me in despising gazes, abused me with the words of contempt, spat at me, peeled my nails off, pummeled my cheeks with their fists countless times, kicked me in the buttocks, ripped my hair out, bit my nose to pieces, gouged out my eyeballs, pulled my tongue out, sucked up my blood, poured scalding water on me and burned me, raped me in the ass, smashed my genitals, ripped off all the skin of my body, severed my arms, broke the bones of every part of my body, struck me with blunt objects, stabbed me with blades, dug up my intestines, strangled me tight around the neck, made vast beasts devour my flesh, pushed me off from high places, drowned me in water, burned my whole body in flames. Once I tuned into it, my heart would break. It seemed about to go crazy. Gritting my teeth, I frantically held up my own will. Could it be that Kozuki had constantly been living under these circumstances?
見るべき妄想をコントロールするんだ。全てを受信しちゃダメだ。標的を絞り込み、音を頼りにするんだ。
The sound. I listened desperately, enduring the negative delusions pressing in on me. All I could hear were voices. I blocked them out. I sought out the sound. I heard it, a mechanical noise. Seraton had called it the sound that would kill me. That sound also appeared in my memories, the ones I'd obtained by recording the thoughts of others. A porter's rucksack made this noise, and Senna had used her D-sword to destroy it. When I concentrated on that noise, the delusions I heard were
信仰の救いあれ信仰の救いあれ信仰の救いあれ信仰の救いあれ
multiple voices. There was more than one porter in this place.
3人いるみたい。
Stifling my breath, I took a step forward. A chaotic flock of people, this pedestrian scramble, without so much as a fragment of law and order. But they walked wherever they liked and struck out at one another. It would be a trial to go straight forward. I hacked into the delusions of the people leading up to my target. The people standing before my line of sight shifted position slightly. A single path opened up there. About 50 meters ahead was a lone man. Now, all obstacles between me and him had been expelled. Our eyes met. He was plump and wore a suit and had a rucksack on his back.
一人目
I ran. Through the crowd, without bumping into anyone. Straight ahead, as the crow flies, dragging along my D-sword. Having noticed me, the porter grew flustered, turned his back and attempted to flee, but I wouldn't let him. In the same way as Senna, I swept my D-sword, much longer than I was tall, horizontally. As before, I sensed no weight in it. I could manipulate it as if it were a part of my own hand. The tip of my D-sword dug into the rucksack as if it was melting away at high temperature. The rucksack's contents burst with steam. The man slumped down in place and trembled, holding his head. Without giving him a glance, I headed for the second one. Below the O-front. Again, all obstacles on the way there disappeared. They were constructing a road for me. The man who stood beyond it, overly thin, he wore a checkered shirt and jeans. He had long hair and a sickly white skin. He cradled a bag to his chest as if he prized it. Upon catching sight of me, he tried to blend in with the crowd. Before then, I drew my D-sword. Fly. I had a delusion that it disregarded the laws of physics and accelerated as it soared forward, horizontal to the earth. Subtly correcting its path along the way, it pierced the porter's back with inimitable accuracy. A faint flash burst forth. The man fell down on the spot. One more. Running up to the fallen man, I retrieved my D-sword. The turret was in front of the Hachiko statue. I had met that porter several times before. No, to put it more accurately, I was used to talking to her on a daily basis. The waves of people parted. For the third time, a path manifested and perfectly straight line. At the end of that path was a woman who stood out very much. A woman in wife clothing. Oh, it's gonna be the nurse.
あなたが3人目です。葉月さん。いや、グリム。
Oh, I knew it. The nurse who had smiled kindly at the hospital. Now she glared at me with piercing look in her eyes. She held an oversized handbag. There was most likely a NOAA 2 terminal inside of it.
真実を 暴くんだ。彼女がしてきたことをこの場にいる人たちに提示すれば、
So this is grim. Okay.
この熱病のような混乱は収まる。
What's she done?
彼女がグリムなら、これまでの不自然な言動に君は気づいているはず。僕が最初に君に接触した時のことを、僕は君に貼り付け事件の予言をした。君への継承だった。でも僕よりも先に貼り付けを予言した人間がいる。
I remembered our exchange in that chat. Shortly before Shogun began talking to me, Grim had left the room after appending a single joking image. That drawing, the one Hazuki had scribbled in the patient's records, it wasn't exactly skillfully drawn, but what it stood for was the staking. And when Grim first explained the new Jin cases to me, he'd said, "They're all in your neighborhood." Never mind the fact that I'd never said a word to him about living in Shibuya. And in our chat just a few hours before, Grim had let slip words that suggested he knew I was Nishijo Takumi. You're a celeb, so you'll be the center of everyone's attention. The second time was when I went to the hospital. Hazuki-san had said,
高階先生はもういません。
"You are the new Gen perpetrator." And a week later, Dr. Takashina was discovered as a corpse. I sucked in a breath.
あの人が
Yeah, she definitely is.
真犯人。
I thought about it. I called it even, like way long ago, when we went to the hospital and she was talking to herself. I would know if I looked into her heart.
信仰の救いあれ。
Hazuki Shino stood in one of the operating rooms in her workplace, AH Tokyo General Hospital. Late at night, an operating room belonging to the surgical department. Atop the bed was a form of a young man, Konoe Chizuo. Fed sleeping pills, he was in a state of clouded consciousness.
信仰の救いあれ。
Repeating the same words over and over like a Buddhist chant, Hazuki rubbed her enormously swollen stomach. She slowly shed her nurse's whites. She sat down on the operating table and took up a scalpel.
救いあれ。
Well, there's the thumbnail for this video. And without anesthesia, she slit open her own belly. If any surgeon or obstetrician saw it, all would laud her as having nigh genius abilities. No, I think they'd think, wow, she's pretty fucked up. Let's stop her from cutting into her own stomach. That's what I would think. And though she was a nurse, she possessed a startling faculty for surgical operations, and while enduring the pain of cutting her own body open sans anesthesia, Hazuki made an incision into her abdomen with commendable skill. Blood and amniotic fluid came leaking out of the wound as her face contorted in pain. Hazuki at last thrust her own hand into her abdomen. She took out a bloodied fetus. Still not fully developed, the fetus had already perished in the process of being forcibly removed. Cutting the umbilical cord, Hazuki lovingly cradled her child, then laid it on a platform beside the operating table and began suturing her wound. Upon completing that step in less than an hour, she rose from her operating table while bearing up under an excessive pain in her abdomen. An ordinary person would have passed out ages ago and, holding the fetus, stood beside the man lying in her bed. She looked down at the unconscious man's face with bloodshot eyes. She deliberately stuck a scalpel into his stomach. With a violence far separate from the delicacy and accuracy with which she had slit her own stomach. Pain made the man awaken, but both his arms and legs were bound firmly to the legs of the bed, and he had no way to escape. Paying no heed to his weeping and shrieking, Hazuki pulled at the scalpel she had thrust in him. It tore his skin and flesh. Blood sprayed out, landing on her face.
救いをあなたに。
She put both hands into the victim's wound. With a coerciveness it would be safe to call forcible, she spread the wound open on both sides. The sound of meat ripping echoed throughout the operating room. The man's body convulsed as he fell into a cycle of blacking out, then reviving in pain. Contemplating the sufficiently opened wound, Hazuki smiled gently, and she took her own child, which she had removed shortly before, and shoved it inside. Okay, so that was the first new gen case, question mark. Hazuki Shino stood at one of the operating rooms in her workplace, AH Tokyo General Hospital. Late at night, an operating room belonging to the surgical department. Atop the bed was her former colleague, a psychiatrist, Takashina Fumio. But he was strapped down to the bed. But he wasn't merely bound there. His brain lay exposed in his head. His cranium had been cleanly cut away from above his eyes.
高階先生に信仰の救いあれ。
葉月君、こんなことやめろ。
Takashina was conscious, as there was anesthesia at work in him. He appeared not to feel any pain in his head. His eyes were wide with fear, and cold sweat ran down his whole body.
救いあれ。
Ignoring Takashina, while he pleaded for his life, Hazuki slowly removed the silver, shining instrument from the pocket of her white uniform. To be more accurate, it wasn't a surgical instrument. It was a spoon, a regular utensil, the sort one might see around a dining table.
何をするつもりだ。
Brains. That reminds me of that Alfred Hitchcock movie where they eat brains from monkeys. I think they redid that. They did that as a reference in Indiana Jones, but I forgot which one. Was it Temple of Doom? I don't know. It's been 15 years since I saw that movie. I was still a kid.
よせ、やめろ。
Yose. Wearing an expression of ecstasy, Hazuki scraped out part of Dr. Takashina's brain as if she was scooping up a curry. Let me have a sip at this delightful imagery I'm seeing in my brain right now. She shook it off the spoon and onto the stainless steel tray as though to hurl it down. His pink brain tissue pulverized atop the tray like jelly. Hazuki jabbed the spoon into his brain for a second time. This time, she shaved off more than a heaping pile of brain matter. As she dug his brain out, Dr. Takashina could neither feel any pain nor lose consciousness. Numbness prevented his body from moving freely, and the only thing left to do for him was to shiver in terror. That's fucked up.
これがあなたの記憶なんですね。
Woo, boy! Right, I think this might be a good time to call it quits for this episode. I hope we get to see what else inspired or how the other victims were murdered. Like the guy who's totally fucking green in the toilet. That one, or the staking. I want to know what happened there. We'll figure it out. We'll see if we ever figure that out, actually. Thanks for watching. See you guys on the flip side.